Hi, my name's Rick Locke, and I'm the corresponding author on this study entitled Factors Associated with Persistent and Non-Persistent Constipation Over 20 Years. We are all at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, although we've gone many places since. That is, Roxanne Chung is the lead author of this study. He's in South Korea. Nick Talley is the senior author of this work, and he's in Australia. Kathy Schleck and Al Zinsmeister are statisticians. They're still here in Rochester. Enrique Rey worked on this study. He's in Madrid, Spain. And of course, Charles Baum is a Takeda employee who's been very involved in this study, and we appreciate the support that Takeda's had that's allowed us to do this work. So the idea is simple. We think constipation is common, and many people have said that constipation affects 20% of people. And you might say, well, how long does it take to have chronic constipation? Some people say 3 months, some people take 6 months. Well, that's different than saying 3 years, 6 years, or 20 years. And so we want to take advantage of the fact that here we have a group of people who have filled out surveys since 1988. And so we can really look at their symptoms over the course of 20 years. And one of the symptoms that we wanted to be sure about was whether or not they had constipation. And so what we found is that if you actually look at the people who have constipation over the course of those entire 20 years, every time they filled out a survey, it may be twice, it may be 5 surveys. We just said every time they filled out a survey, did they have constipation? And we actually found that 3% of people had constipation using that definition. It's not 20, but it's still 3. And anytime you're talking about a percent of the population, you're talking about a lot of people. But the key is that 3% of people had persistent constipation. The other 17%, or in this study it was actually 21%, had what we call non-persistent constipation. They would go in and out. They might have constipation on one survey and not on another. And that's a group that we recognize might have constipation, but it's not really always constipated. They are partially constipated or non-persistently constipated, as we would say. Unfortunately, when we looked at symptoms or many of the other features that might separate out a person with persistent and non-persistent chronic constipation, there we couldn't find a difference. We certainly found the same difference others have had related to gender and the like in terms of constipated versus not, but if we looked at these two groups of constipated people, we couldn't find a difference. So the key was that we were able to evaluate people over the course of 20 years, and we could actually look and say who had constipation over those entire 20 years, or at least every time they filled out a survey, and who didn't. And we found that 3% of the population had chronic, persistent constipation. So that was the bottom line of this study, and we really appreciate the fact that we get to participate in this video abstract session. Thanks so much.